In Family Healthbeat tonight, people who triumphed over polio decades ago are now facing another threat. It's called post-polio syndrome, a set of symptoms that strike unexpectedly and can leave a person totally debilitated. In fact, those striving for the pinnacle of fitness may be at greatest risk of losing it all. Charmin Collins looks healthy, vital. No one would know that post-polio syndrome has robbed her of an active and athletic life. It's been devastating.
And it goes way beyond physical activity. You know, first there's an initial shock of losing that physical activity, but then I've lost so much more than that because I can no longer take care of my family.
About 10 years ago, Charmin started an intense exercise program.
I was working out probably 2 hours a day and very rarely took a day off.
She fine-tuned every muscle in her body, ignoring the early signs: severe back pain, muscle cramps, then muscle atrophy. She brushed off suggestions she had post-polio and pushed through the pain.
I kept saying to myself, oh, I had too light a case of polio. Besides that, if I have PPS, all it will mean is I won't be able to ride my bike as fast at Pettit Drive.
That denial ended several months later.
There was a time between January and April of '91, I was first diagnosed in January, that I lost probably 90% of my overall body muscle strength. Okay.
The treatment for post-polio is to conserve energy, so Charmin uses a scooter to move around her large house. Bit by bit, she's losing the ability to function.
I can't do the laundry anymore because I can't lift the laundry from when it's wet from the washer to the dryer. And I can't fold clothes because I can't hold my arms up long enough, to fold clothes. And I can't cook.
Every muscle she overused is now deteriorating. She can no longer play the piano, knit, or type. Today, she spends time reading.
In the last 6 months, I've lost a lot of ability in my, strength in my diaphragm. So now I'm using a ventilator at night. And, I really used my diaphragm a lot.
Experts say nearly every person who's had polio faces some degree of post-polio syndrome. Charmin warns, ignore the early signs, and the problems, the losses, could be much worse.
And not simply worse, but, devastatingly worse.
So Charmin says the worst thing a polio survivor can do is to push themselves athletically. And she says, if you use it, then you'll lose it.
Is that right? That's the bitter irony, isn't this, here, that exercise is the thing that made her, healthy, and now that's the very thing that's hurting her as well?
She overcame polio and then in her 30s really became athletic and strong, and that's the very thing that probably pushed her over the edge here.
Do doctors know what caused all the symptoms?
The best theory is that when the polio was over, when the body began to rejuvenate itself, it sprouted secondary nerves that reattached to the muscle, and then after 20 to 40 years, they began to wear out. And now, especially for those people who use them a lot, people like Charmin who worked out a lot.
Right, like she said, she's really dynamic and obviously had to make some big changes now.
She said she had to move from being a type A person to a type B person. So, what happened for her, when she found out she couldn't run, then she tried to bike. And when she couldn't do any more athletics, she tried to play the piano. She did it for 2.5 hours a day, and then she knitted a sweater a day. Well, then her hands gave out. So then she began to realize that she had to change her personality altogether. She did form a support group, just like Charmin, to do that, of course, that meets twice a month. The number to call to find more information out about that is 838-1689. Also, the Easter Seal Society has information and support. You can call 1-800-678-5708.
Great story, Marianne.
Yeah, thank you very much. She's got a long road ahead, but she's got a great family to help her out. She's a wonderful woman.
Coming up next here in sports, a Russian soccer team is wrapping up a visit to Spokane. Rick has the latest.
And we'll have a preview of the 4th annual Northwest Powwow at Riverfront Park, so stay with us.